Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. Try our all-new caramel protein lattes with up to 31 grams of protein and options with no added sugar.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up.
Level up your drink at Starbucks.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew Yang, former presidential candidate and champion of getting more money into the hands of millions of Americans. I want to tell you about our new company, Noble Mobile, which is the first phone carrier that pays you to use your phone less. Did you know Verizon and AT&T paid out $18 billion in dividends to shareholders last year? That's money they make by overcharging you for data. Noble changes all that. You get unlimited everything on the T-Mobile network. Plus, when you use your phone less, you get up to $20 in cash back each month, and we give you a 5.5% interest rate on it. Most importantly, Noble members use their phones 17% less each month because, hey, people like money. And as a listener to this show, you can try Noble for just $10 if you visit noblemobile.com and use the code YANG10. Stop overpaying for your data. Go to noblemobile.com/yang10 and start getting paid to use your phone less today.
If something in your relationship feels off, but you can't explain why. If you've spent years trying harder in the relationship, and yet it just keeps hurting, this space is for you. Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. Today's conversation is one that I know you will recognize deep in your bones, because we're talking about smear campaigns and what it's actually like to live through one. Not the textbook definition of them, but what they actually look like when they touch your family, your friendships, your credibility, your sense of safety in your world. I'm joined today by Eleanor Marks, a high-conflict divorce coach who understands this terrain both professionally and personally. Eleanor brings a grounded, lived perspective to what it means to navigate these dynamics without losing yourself in the process. And in this episode, we talk honestly about how smear campaigns unfold during and after divorce, how deeply they can cut, especially when they involve family, and what it really takes to stop defending yourself and start reclaiming your life. Now, before we begin, I do want to gently share this for those who are listening and thinking, this is exactly where I am right now. A new coaching session focused specifically on divorcing a covert narcissist is beginning next week. I'll share more about that at the end of the episode, but I wanted you to know up front that support exists and you don't have to figure this out on your own. Now, back to smear campaigns. This is not a conversation about just rising above it or pretending that it doesn't hurt. It's about navigating reality, protecting your energy, and learning how to move forward without letting someone else's narrative consume you. If you've lost relationships, credibility, and that sense of safety in your own community because of a covert narcissist lies, this episode is for you. Now let's get into it. Today, we are joined once again by Eleanor Marks. We haven't had her on here in a little while, but life gets crazy. We get busy. But Eleanor, it's really good to have you back. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. The ups and downs of living life, knowing too much about narcissism and trying to navigate through it.
It changes things.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does. Yeah. So it's smooth sailing right now, or are you having bumps on your path?
You know, the bumps come around. Some bumps are bigger than others at times. Dealing with some court issues with my ex, but navigating them much better than I would have without a fraction of the information that I've had. So, yeah, good bumps, I'd say. Very
Yeah.
good bumps.
Good. Good. So you mean it doesn't just disappear once you divorce and get out? It's not just smooth sailing after that?
I would love to say yes, and I can't. So you got to kind of find ways to navigate through it, pivot, zig and zag, and get through it and digest it, and because it's not going to really go away by any means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away, but it maybe gets less frequent, hopefully gets less frequent, and we get a whole lot better at navigating it.
Yeah. I found this round, the version of myself 4 years ago would have been a little bit of a basket case and wasting hours and responding to legal letters and from attorneys. And this time around, I actually found myself just like the night before that was due. I'm like, I don't know, put something together and, just not letting it consume me as much. I was kind of laughing at myself. I'm like,
Good.
yeah, here's the same information that would have taken me 15 hours to write. And I, put it together in 20 minutes. I'm like, there you go. So yeah, it changes.
for
It
you.
definitely changes.
It does. It does. And
Yeah.
when we realize how much time and energy we have poured into this chaos and we start putting it into other aspects of life instead, it's like I've
Mhm.
just reached a point that I just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't have
When
time.
someone
I don't
shows you
have energy. I don't have the space.
when someone shows you a wheel of your budget of how much you're spending on coffee or something or shoes, and you're like, oh my gosh, do I really waste that much money on that? And then you start changing your ways. And so I felt it was like the same thing with the time and the consumption of energy. I'm like, oh, no, we need to change this. We can't be wasting this much
Mhm.
time on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good.
Life is precious and it's time to reclaim all of that.
Yes,
So
every minute.
So today we are talking about smear campaigns. And
Yeah.
I'm eager to dive into this because I think you and I both have had very different experiences with that. And so I'm very eager for you to share your story with my audience and let us know kind of how smear campaign looked in your world. I will say my husband was not very socially connected. He was extremely private, and that continued after the divorce. And so that kind of worked to my favor in that regard of smear campaign. But I don't think that was the case for you.
No, it wasn't the case for me. And when I finally started to see the patterns of my husband at the time, I realized that this was very much a part of his playbook and seeing other relationships, other girlfriends previous to me. I'm like, oh, that didn't really happen either. And, actually having contact with them afterwards and figuring out better portions of the story and then what I was experiencing. My smear campaign that my husband, now ex-husband, did, it went into my family pretty thick. I'm actually no contact with my mother, who lives 8 miles from me, as well as my sister. It was an interesting situation because my mother and husband never really got along fabulously. They always butted heads, and I would make excuses to my mom of why my husband couldn't come to lunches or whatever, because he just didn't want to be around her. And he was my confidant in saying, the little nitty-gritties of how I didn't get along with my mom in certain ways. And it was kind of amazing when I filed for divorce. They started to become best friends. And it got much thicker. She believed what he was saying. And then when he started to play the victim, she supported him. And yeah, so when the information that I have today here isn't because I read it in an article or saw it on a TikTok video. It is a very personal place. And, it still goes on to this day. So whenever I have a new client, and they tell me about what's going on, I'm like, oh, I hear you. I hear you. This isn't just about a divorce.
Yeah.
It ripples into all the crevices of your family and friends. So, yeah. What was
And
yours?
I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really
Uh,
sorry that, that you went through that anyone goes through that.
yeah.
I definitely have had the support of my family all along the way with all of this. And so I can't relate to that. But what do you do? How do you handle that?
Um, I think there's a lot of phases in it on how to, pause because it can be so overwhelming and such a huge kick to the gut of trying to dissect the whole process. Um, I think the one thing that somebody said to me that really started to turn the mind shift around in dealing with it was it says more about the family and friends that you thought you had and what they were hearing and buying into than what I could explain to them. There were no more bank statements that I could show to show the same thing over again or prove or show phone logs or anything. It kind of got to the point of like, they don't want to hear my side. They are just as happy as they can be believing the lies, and they already have pitchforks in their hand and they are riding at midnight. And
Mhm.
it kind of had me finally stop trying to explain, whether it was verbally, letter, message, text, here you go, see this again. And
Yeah.
it's become much more
Yeah.
manageable.
You can't convince somebody that doesn't want to believe you.
Mhm.
And we've spent our whole marriage doing that, trying to
Yeah.
convince somebody who doesn't want to believe us. We were trying to cooperate with somebody who doesn't want to cooperate. And
Mhm.
and then when you experience that with friends and family, I guess I like that you got that advice of it, it says more about who they are than it does who about you.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
I've stood behind that before. Is people's actions, people's words that says more about who they are than
Mhm.
about who I am. And I'm going to let my character speak for itself. And if you don't believe me and you don't believe who I am, it's not my job to change that.
Yeah.
But this is your mom and your
Mhm.
sister.
Mhm.
That hits close to home.
It's my only sibling. I don't have any other siblings. I think to the definition of mother, father, whatever anybody else's situation is, and sibling and family, I bought into all the Hallmark definitions of that they're there thick and thin, that they'll always be there, unconditional love. And when you start to look at it like, oh, that was my definition, it doesn't sound like it was their definition of that. And you start to break it down of like, I put my expectations and definition on them and I expected it in return. And sometimes we just have
Mhm.
expectations that aren't met. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And our expectations a lot of times come from how we would behave in that situation.
mhm.
My expectations of somebody is often my own projection of, but
Mhm.
I would be through thick and thin and here for you no matter what. And then I'm just expecting that they would too.
Yeah,
But you're right, it doesn't always line up.
no. And that's a whole nother kind of trauma when the alignment
Sure.
doesn't occur. As you already got the divorce that you're grieving, and then you got the loss of family or major friends or whatever it might be. It compounds. Do you see a lot of your coaching clients with in trying to navigate the smear campaign?
I do, yes. There's no doubt about that, and that smear campaign extends to, their own adult children. It extends to, their
Wow.
family, like what you've mentioned. Of course, the spouse's family is almost always involved. And then friends, close friends, family friends that they've known for, 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden those friends are turning on them.
Mhm.
And it's hard. It's hard to know, okay, how do I navigate this? But I do encourage people of, look, you have nothing to prove to any of them. You
Mhm.
don't have to defend yourself. They didn't live in your shoes. They didn't live in that environment with you. And if they are choosing not to listen to you or not to believe you or not to believe in you, then that says a whole lot about that relationship. It says
Yeah.
a whole lot about that person in your life.
One of the lines that I use with a lot of coaching clients when we're kind of at that point And then, they're like, but they're my sister, but they're my best friend. We've been best friends for, 20 years. And I'm like, I'm not denying those facts, but like, let's look at what the actions that are going on. And we almost have to get to a point where we just need to burn it all down and restart of like, with our definition of friend and family, and then finding the friends and families that share those definitions, and we'll be there thick and thin, and then start recreating your new tribe, however you want to phrase it, and creating a new world.
I talk about it as circles of trust. And in my inner circle, my tightest circle, I want people in my life that I can trust. I want to be a trusting person. Let's start there. I know that about me is I want to trust people. Well, that means one of the boundaries for me is that I have to surround myself with people I can trust. And so that inner circle, that tightest circle, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people. For me, it's, maybe 4 people that I really, truly trust to the point I can be vulnerable. I can be myself. My guard is completely down. Okay. That's my inner circle. Now let's go one layer out. One layer out. These are people I still want in my life, but I don't trust them to that same degree. So I might still go to socials with them. I might still, have lunch with them, but my guard's going to be up a little bit. I'm not going to be as oversharing with them. I'm not going to be as vulnerable with them. And then let's go another layer out. That layer out there is going to be maybe some extended family, or maybe the, family who are buying into all of that or whatever. I might still want to love them and care about them, but I might have to love them from a distance. They're going to be at arm's length. And I can still love them. I can still care about them, but they are at the...
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. Try our all-new caramel protein lattes with up to 31 grams of protein and options with no added sugar. Level up your drink at Starbucks.
At arm's length, and they're going to have to stay there, for my own protection, for my own, boundaries are for me to be able to live life the way I want to live life.
Yeah.
And so they don't belong in my inner circle.
I use the analogy of a chessboard, and we're moving pieces closer to, or, further away. And sometimes, like, once they're in one circle or at one spot, doesn't mean they deserve to stay there forever. Like, people might get moved to your third level of your circles or whatever.
They might have to go out on a layer, a further ring.
It's very fluid. And just because somebody's there doesn't mean they automatically get to stay there. And then there's people who are in your third layer, and all of a sudden, they really keep coming to the table, and they become, you give them a little bit more trust, and you align more with them. So once you're there, you're not just stuck there in
it's not
spot.
Static. Yeah.
No.
It moves.
No.
Yeah, it moves. So I think that's completely true. I will say that for me, in regards to smear campaign, one of the things, I already mentioned one of the things that really worked to my advantage is he was not very socially connected. So in regards to our friend group, I had already stepped away from a lot of our friend circle. A lot of that was just an environment I had already kind of stepped out of before the divorce. So that really wasn't an issue. For all I know, he smeared me to all of them. I don't know, because I had already stepped away from that friend group.
Sure.
But he was so private and so protective of his private life, And so I don't know that he would have smeared, within that group at all. No idea. I will say another thing that worked greatly to my advantage is I did a whole lot of healing before I ever left the marriage.
Yeah.
I had done so much of my own healing work. I do encourage people, don't wait on them. Don't schedule or time your healing journey around them. Whether you're still in the marriage or not, I don't care. Don't wait for them to get it. Don't wait for them to recognize it. Don't wait for you to get out. Nope. Start now. My healing isn't about him. My healing is about me. And so I was already far along on that journey of healing before the divorce ever happened. And so even with the smear campaign, even the little bit that did happen, it really didn't faze me at that point.
That's a wonderful way to put it too, of the already have your healing, like a pretty solid path before you try to tackle it. Because a lot of people are kind of thrown into a divorce and then the smear campaign, and it's a mushroom cloud,
It's a lot.
and you don't even know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things with the smear campaign and like just the emotional damage that it does to a person, and when we try to like tackle it in one big part, it can be almost too overwhelming to try to get to the other side. How am I even going to get to it? But when we can break it down into littler pieces, like what does this say about them? Why does this hurt me so much? We live in a society that's like, words, they're just words. It shouldn't hurt you. And when you're told that over and over again, but
They
it does
do.
hurt. It does hurt. How it is, ruining your reputation or whatever, your credibility. The people who are believing these things, it can almost seem like you can't recover from it, but you can. You absolutely can. Keep showing up with your good intentions, your integrity, your actions. Majority of the people will come around and be like, things will start to click. One of the biggest things too, I felt that my family was smarter than they were. Right? They would see it. They wouldn't fall for these silly games that were being played. And that was a big hit. They're like, oh, my family isn't as smart or observant and that took
As aware.
down aware another notch. I thought they were, somewhat emotionally healthy and wouldn't put up with this. But that, when you start to like really dissect the whole thing and can treat and tackle bits and pieces, it makes everything seem a little bit more easy, a little bit more
That's fair. No, that's a good
in
point.
place.
And add to that, I mean, these covert narcissistic people are master manipulators. They are good at what they do. And look
They're
how
very good.
long they manipulated us. Look how
Yeah.
long that we went not seeing it. We were living in the home with them.
Yeah.
These are people then that are not living in the home with them that don't see it as well.
Yeah. One other
You
big
know.
point to how to get through the smear campaign or how to navigate it is, typically the things we hear is like, oh, they're crazy, they're, whatever. And as the person getting the smear campaign done onto them, the overwhelmingness can make us start to look crazy because we are devastated by what is being said about us and how we are in shock of how far the ripple is going. And you combine that, we can start to look a little crazy. And we sometimes play into the exact story that they're putting out, not realizing everything that's going on behind the scenes. And so a way to try to navigate it is to not react to it, not go to the keyboard, not send that text, like step back, regroup, remember what your truth is, look at your timelines. I have clients that actually journal, like this happened here, that, and so they tangibly can see like that did not happen. It didn't happen that way. And then can make more calming responses with love the BIF formula, brief, informative, firm, and friendly, right? Just keep it that. We don't need to go into the dramatic trying to defend ourselves, because when we do try to defend ourselves, it looks like we have something to defend. And the people who already want to believe the smear campaign, they're already down the road believing it.
They're already
So,
hooked. Yeah.
yeah.
You are hitting on absolutely a very key point of the healing is not to defend yourself. Because if you defend yourself, you already look guilty. Like you said,
Reclaim
you
your
already look
narrative.
like you have something to defend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something too
And
to
it can feel
Go ahead.
very desperate. It can feel very desperate. Like but I have to, I have to show them, I have to tell them, I have to explain it, I have to justify it. No, you don't actually.
No.
And it can be very freeing when you realize you don't have to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that really you just have to live your life and let your character stand for itself. Let your character speak for itself. But it's hard to trust that, because what if they don't ever see it? And they
And
might
that's a
not.
possibility too. It's absolutely a
Yeah,
possibility.
they might not.
Yeah. As we started
Yeah.
this conversation, right? The minutes, where you only get so many minutes in a day. Do you really want to waste your minutes of your precious life explaining some more to people who don't want to hear it? Or I took my minutes and I'm like, I'd rather spend time with my kids, quality time, not trying to fight for something that isn't there at all.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's very fair. And thank you so much for sharing this. And I'm really sorry that you are, on that path with losing family members because of this. Like that's a big fallout
It
from,
is.
from this marriage.
Makes me a better coach, though, for my clients that are in that overwhelming stage. Like, oh, we're going to get through this. Don't worry. Don't worry at all. I got you. So,
Yeah. And in the long run, I don't know about you, but I can speak for me. In the long run, the friends that did stay in my inner circle,
mhm,
okay, that have really lit up my life, just definitely have been so enriching. It's been so
right.
rewarding and enriching to have these people who I trust, and they trust me, and I get to live my life with my guard down when I'm with them.
It's a whole new world. A whole new world to
Yes.
experience life like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eleanor, thank you so much for joining us. I want to give you the opportunity to share how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we didn't mention it at the beginning that I'm a high conflict divorce coach, or what kind of even coaching am I doing throughout all of this? But if anybody would like to reach out, questions, comments, I'd love to hear them. You've gone through a major smear campaign with family. I hear you. Let's connect. You can easily go to my website, eleanormarks.net. So it's just ELEANORMARKS.net. And there's a way to drop me a line or whatever, or hear more, and try to make it through life like this.
So in this world of the CNG world, at least, we are building a community where we're arms around each other, helping each other through this.
Yeah.
And you've been a part of that journey, beside me along this path that we've been on. And I just love that you continue. If I could reach out to the world and hug the world, I would do it, but I can't. And
Yeah.
so we build a team, and
Mhm.
that team we can reach more people and continue building this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to thank Eleanor for being here and for sharing not only her insight, but also her lived experience. I know how personal this topic is, and I'm grateful for the clarity and the steadiness that she brings to such a painful part of this journey. Conversations like this matter because smear campaigns don't just end relationships, they can dismantle families, friendships, and a person's sense of reality. For those of you listening who are in the middle of divorcing a covert narcissist, or who know you're headed in that direction or might be, I want you to know this clearly. You do not have to navigate this alone. A new coaching session focused specifically on divorcing a covert narcissist is beginning next week, and this work is designed for exactly what we talked about today: high conflict dynamics, smear campaigns, court stress, and protecting your emotional and psychological well-being through the process. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to join now while there is still space. You can find all the details and sign up at my website at covertnarcissism.com. To go straight to the landing page, just add a / the word divorce after covertnarcissism.com. And as always, thank you for being here and for being a part of this community. Your story matters, your truth matters, and you deserve support that actually understands what you're facing. We will talk again soon, and I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. If there were ever an audience that I wish did not have to exist, it would be this one, because of what it means you've lived through. I'm truly sorry that you understand this so deeply, and I'm really glad that you're here. May this be a place of safety, clarity, and peace. You are not alone anymore, and you don't have to figure this out by yourself. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. And if you'd like to learn more about the support, resources, or coaching that is available for you, you can visit covertnarcissism.com. While I hate it for everyone who understands what I am talking about, I'm really glad that you're here, and I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those that she has worked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or support a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and the information provided. Thank you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
Did you grow up with a Jekyll and Hyde parent, the kind you had to tiptoe around just to keep the peace? So did I. I'm therapist Tori Wixel. Every Tuesday on my podcast, You're Not Crazy, I talk about what it's actually like to grow up with a toxic parent. We dive into the reality of what it means to be a cycle breaker and an emotionally healthy adult when all you saw growing up was what you didn't want to do. If you're ready to stop questioning your own sanity, tune in to You're Not Crazy wherever you listen to podcasts.